All right. Well, I guess I have a job now. I got a job at a car wash. I'm going to be making $11 an hour plus tips. And I have no idea if I'll be making a lot of tips or I have no idea how much people tip at a car wash. But yeah, $11 an hour plus tips. And I don't know if it's going to be part time or full time. I will work full time if that's the schedule they give me. I just don't know what it's going to be. I guess I'll find that out soon enough after I start. And I know I always talk about how I'll never get a job, and I talk about how having a job isn't worth it. And I still do think that, but I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to try it out. And if it really sucks, if it just really sucks, then I'll just quit. But I am going to try it out for at least a few weeks. And really, after the whole situation with finding that box on my porch and then my mom admitting she was the one that left the box, it just got me thinking like, the small amount of income that I get from making these videos, it is nice. It's obviously not a lot. It's not a lot at all. But with my lifestyle, I'm living the neat lifestyle. So a little amount that I make, even just like $100, $200 a month, which is roughly about what I usually make, that's pretty useful for me. I don't need a lot with the way that I live my life because even if I only made $100 a month, that does give me enough money for things like, I can buy new socks when I get holes in my socks, and buy new underwear when I need to, and every now and then, and I don't do this that often, but every now and then, if I'm just like craving a 5-layer burrito at Taco Bell, something like that, I can get that. I have enough money for that. And I could pretty much, for the most part, just ask my mom to buy me these things. And she probably would, but I don't want to ask. So, yeah. And another thing is, I also do like to buy a new book or a new toy for baby every now and then. Just so that, especially with the books, I don't know if any of you have ever raised a baby or helped raise a baby, then it's like, you end up reading, even if you have 100 books, you're going to end up reading every single book like 100 times each. Because, I don't know, different babies are different, but this baby that, my baby cousin, he wants me to read him books like all the time. And he'll want me to read him the same book over and over and the same few books over and over again. So, I like to buy him more books. And for some reason, my mom is like a little bit stingy about buying new books for him because she's always just like, he has books. He has so many books, which is true. But, whatever. I'm just saying, the small amount of income that I do make from this channel, it's enough for me to buy the things that I need to or that I want to buy. Okay, so I have by now, because this channel's been going for a little while now, like a year, although I took a pretty long hiatus at some point, but all I'm saying is, at this point, I've kind of gotten used to making this amount of money. I'm kind of used to my lifestyle, living the simple, neat lifestyle with a little bit of income, with just a little bit, $100, $200 a month, roughly what I usually make, and I'm kind of used to it. So with this whole thing with my mom and the threatening message in the box, and then also the other thing, my channel did actually get terminated by YouTube for reasons I don't understand a while back. And somehow I actually got them to reinstate my channel. I guess they admitted like, oh, it was a mistake. I have no idea how that happens, but it did. So there is a very real chance that I am eventually going to lose my only source of income, which is this channel. And Yeah, I mean, the way they terminated the channel for seemingly no reason, with no explanation a while back, it's a miracle I even managed to get the channel back in the first place. So, with this car wash job, you know, it's not like I even went out looking for a job because I didn't. Like, I wasn't even thinking in my head, like, oh, I need to get a job. It wasn't anything like that. My dad pretty much just got me this job because I guess he knows a guy that's friends with the owner of the car wash, and he got his truck washed there a couple times. My dad got his truck washed there. And when he was there the other day getting his truck washed, the owner of the place was talking to him about how he can never find good workers and they're always short staffed and all that. So then my dad, I guess, told him about me. And so, yeah, the guy was like, okay, well, tell him to come here and I'll give him a job. So my dad tells me this. He's like, all you got to do, go down to the place. You've already got the job. So at first, I wasn't even going to do it, but I thought about it a little bit and I figured, $11 an hour, even if you assume that I didn't make anything in tips, because maybe that is how it is. It's supposedly $11 an hour plus tips, but I really have no idea if people actually tip at a car wash. But even if you say I was only making $11 an hour, no tips, if I worked a 40-hour week at $11 an hour, from my rough calculations, that would be like about $300 a week after taxes. So even if the job is absolutely miserable, and I mean, a car wash, it's probably not going to be great. But if I stayed there for even just 1 month, or like 3 or 4 weeks, I should be able to make at least $1,000. Which obviously I know is poverty wages, but it is more than I make from YouTube, like significantly more. So at the very least, I would be able to make enough money to hold me over in case my YouTube channel does get deleted or anything like that. And the other thing, taking this job, it'll get my parents, it'll make my parents happy. And it'll get them off my back, for a little bit. Because they I am in a weird situation where it's kind of like I've been living the neat lifestyle for so long now that my parents are pretty much used to it. So they don't really get on my case that much, but they do sometimes. And lately, my dad especially has been getting on my case more and more lately. So, I figured I'll take this job. If it really sucks, I really hate it as much as I think I probably will, then I'll just quit. But at least I'm going to stick it out for at least probably, like I'm aiming for basically however long it takes me to make $1,000. I'm going to at least stick it out that long just so I'll have like a little bit of money saved up. So I decided to give it a shot. So yesterday, I went down to the place to talk to the owner, and I guess I should have called first because the owner wasn't even there. But anyways, so I walk into the place and it's like a small building with a little waiting room, and there was an Indian girl sitting at the desk. So I think she's like the owner's daughter or something, because I know the owner is Indian, or my dad said he's Indian. He could be, I can't tell, I'm not like a phrenologist or whatever you call it. Like, I can't, like, she could be Indian or she could be Sri Lankan or Bangladesh. I don't really know, right? So I'm just going to say Indian. So I walk into this place. There's an Indian girl sitting at the desk. So I go up to the desk and I asked her if the owner was there. I say, I need to talk to the owner. And I know the guy's name, so I asked for him by name. And she said, well, he's not working that day. So, this is a perfect example of why I always say that I'm just hopelessly inept in social situations. Because the obvious thing to do at that point would have been to tell the girl why I'm there and see if she can call the guy or something. But instead of that, I was just like, oh, okay. And then I was just standing there for a second thinking, like just thinking, what do I do next? And then I just turned around and started to walk out because in the moment, I'm just thinking, oh, so the owner's not here. Okay, well, I need to talk to the owner, so he's not here, so I guess I'll just leave. Which, you know, that's a stupid, if somebody was telling me this story, like what I'm telling you right now, if I was just listening to this, it would be obvious to me, ask the girl, like tell her why you're here to get a job. She might even have heard about me, or she can call the owner or whatever, or she can at least tell me when he'll be there. I didn't even ask that. It's obvious that these are the thoughts that I should have been having, but instead, just because of my anxiety or whatever, I just don't think of things like that in the moment. So she said he's not there or he's not working that day, and I just started to leave. So I just turned around and I'm just like walking out. But luckily, the girl stopped me and she's like, why do you want to, or whatever. I'm not going to try to do the accent, but basically she was like, what do you want to talk to him about? So I told her why I was there, and she was like, okay, I'll call him. So she tried to call the guy, and he didn't answer. So then she said I should just wait there for a few minutes because he usually calls her right back. So, I was like, okay, sure. And I was just standing there. Again, it should be obvious, this place was kind of like a waiting room. I guess like people take their car to get washed, and some people will wait there, right? So there's chairs and stuff. So obviously I should go sit down. But yeah, I'm retarded, so I was just standing there in front of the desk. So yeah, so when I first walked in, the girl at the desk was eating some kind of Indian food, I guess. I think it was some kind of ethnic food, whatever. I don't know if she's Indian. And she's also reading some kind of textbook or something. It looked like a textbook. Could have been any kind of regular book. I don't really know. But anyway, so after she told me to wait a few minutes for the guy to call back, she pretty much immediately just looked back down at her book, and went back to eating. And like I said, I was just standing there like a moron right in front of her. And after like a minute or something, she looked up again. She looked up at me and she's just like, sit over there. Like she didn't even say it like, you can sit over there, or like, sir, if you'd like, you may sit over there. She wasn't making a suggestion. She just pointed at the chairs and was like, sit over there. But whatever, I'm used to it, I've talked about this a little bit in other videos, but, a whole lot of female customer service workers are rude to me. I get that all the time. Female customer service workers are very rude to me, pretty consistently. Not all the time, probably not even most of the time, but a lot of the time. Probably more than it happens to anybody else, or more than it happens to normies, sub fives. Some people have it worse than me. Whatever, she was rude to me. That's all I'm trying to say. And I think it's because probably these female customer service workers, they want to make sure that any sub five men that they're talking to, they want to make sure that we know that we have zero chance with them. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I don't know. I was probably kind of acting weird though, so maybe whatever. And oh, by the way, she was probably I'd say about a 6 out of 10, cuz she wasn't really that good looking, but she did have pretty big boobs, which, that does a lot. But yeah, anyway, so I was waiting for a few minutes. The owner did call her back after a few minutes, and she talked to him for a little bit, and then she told me basically to come in 2 days from then. So that was yesterday. So my first day will be tomorrow at the time I'm recording this. I don't know exactly when I'll actually like release the video. yeah, so I'm starting my new job at the car wash tomorrow. And oh, yeah, and I forgot to say, while I was waiting for the owner to call the girl back, some black guy walked in. He works there, I guess. So this guy walks in and he was immediately like, "Yo, what the fuck? It smell like boo boo in here." And the girl at the desk just shouted at him like, "We have customers." And then the guy started saying shit like, "What are you eating? I can't breathe in here. It stinks." And I mean, I figured he's just joking around with her because they work together, but she wasn't laughing or anything. You know, she was just being completely serious. And she said, like, she's like, "You want to be fired? You want to get fired? Then go away." And he just stopped saying anything after that. And he left. He like went out the side door, went back outside. So, yeah, anyways, you know, I can't say that I'm looking forward to it, this new job, but I think that at the very least, you know, I'm going to stick it out for at least a few weeks. I think it will probably be a good experience for me, even if it sucks. At least I'll like go out and be forced to like communicate with people a little bit. And I don't know how long I'm going to last before I give up and quit, because that inevitably I am going to give up and quit. You know, I already know I'm not cut out to work a regular job. And like I say, really, I just want to make at least like $1,000 or something, have a little money. I'll call that like my emergency fund or whatever. And yeah, I know that's like barely anything. It's not like a real emergency fund, but yeah. So I live a pretty simple life, you know. I don't need as much money as most people do. I don't need much. And by the way, I do plan to keep making videos. Like, I'm going to try to not slow down my video output at all. Although, you know, we'll see. We'll see. And I probably will make a video talking about the actual job after my first day. But I don't know. It just depends. You know, if it's just totally boring, maybe there's not that much to talk about. So I might just kind of mention it in another video that's about something else. I don't know. But yeah, if anything interesting happens, I'll make a video talking about it. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I got a job. I have a job now. I am a car washer. So y'all can stop with all the comments like, "Get a job, you loser. Just get a damn job, you freaking loser." Okay? We don't need any more comments like that for the time being, because I do have a job, okay? I am employed. Okay? The unemployment rate in this great nation just went down. Loser Maxing has a job.